Assalamu alaikum and hello everybody. Good morning. We are back to English poetry from the Islamic University English department. Today we have a poem that I really love. It's called Dover Beach by a Victorian poet, critic, thinker, intellectual, Matthew Arnold. You know, I don't like to speak much about the context, background of the poem, but I think this is necessary here to understand what is Dover Beach, because the two of the previous poems were about, even entitled by animals, the eagle and the oxen, but we have something here that is clearly rooted in place. Dover Beach is a very important place in Great Britain or England, United Kingdom. This is Dover Beach here. If you look at the map, Great Britain is basically an island. And because it is an island, it has relatively been safer than any other place, because the water protects you against invasions. The weakest thing for armies is to cross waters, because you would be it would be easy for you to defend yourself against invading armies. Not that easy, but still, compared to land invasions. Especially that Dover Beach, this area, has a huge cliff, you know, a little hill, so you still also up above them, you can also even throw stones at the invading armies. There have been so many fightings and battles in this area. So this is where Dover Beach is located. People came to England thousands of years ago from, of course, from Europe, but they were, sometimes those people are described as, migrants, immigrating tribes, the Saxons, the Angles, the Jutes. Some people sometimes describe them as invasions. But there have been two major invasions to Britain in the past 2,000 years. Compare this, for example, to Gaza, to Palestine. How many invasions have been? Every couple of decades there will be a war invasion because of the location here. Okay, so here we probably will talk about the Roman invasion almost 2,000 years ago, and then we talk about the French invasion, the Norman invasion almost 1,000 years ago. But those people formed, that's why the Anglo-Saxon, even Angles, England and English, they formed what became England later on. This is Dover Beach. This is the cliff here. It's fascinating, beautiful. Again, see some, capitalism usually makes use of such things. You have houses here, cottages, you could spend a romantic honeymoon or just go eat and enjoy the scene. Now it's interesting to know that this is a short distance from France. There's actually a tunnel underground. You could drive from France to England and vice versa. This is an area that some people managed to cross swimming. Not easy, challenging, but still, imagine if you can swim it, it means it's not that big. And then we have the poem. I'll recite the poem. I want you to pay attention. Some of the words are tricky. I want two of you to recite it after me. The sea is calm tonight. The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits on the French coast. The light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast. Out in the tranquil bay, come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of stray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pipples, which the waves draw back and fling. At their return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin with tremulous cadence, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. A sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing, grow, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as a darkling plain. We are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Do you want to read it all or in chunks? All or the first stanza? Okay, go on. Just raise your voice, please. Higher.
The sea is continent. The tide is full, the moon lies fair. Upon the straits, on the French coast of the world.
Could you please go higher?
Beams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering and vast, out in tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long blinding spray, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of petals which the wave drove back and flame as they return up the high strand. Begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean,
On the Aegean.
and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound as thought, hearing it by the distant mountain sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full and young at its shore, lay like the folds of a bright
Girdle furled.
But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear, and naked shingles of the world. Well, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help or pain. And we are here as on the dawning plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night.
Okay, very good. One more, please. Let's read parts of this. First stanza.
The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair. Upon the straits, on the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glittering and vast, out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. at their return, up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in.
Continue.
Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of fate was once, too, at the full and round earth shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdled fern. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast ages drear, and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, have really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night.
Thank you very much. That's very good. Okay, if we look at this text, the title, as I suggested earlier, is deeply rooted in place. Not an ordinary place, a famous place, a strategic place, a place that has been at the essence of protecting England against invading armies, a place that witnessed probably tens of attempts to invade army with battles and death and blood and bodies here and there. When we read the first line, the sea is calm tonight. It's beautiful. The scene is romantic, and it brings time here. So we have time and place, both elements here. But not any time of the day. It's not dawn. It's not early in the morning. It's night. But the night is calm. You're at the beach. You're looking over the beach, the Dover here. And what you notice, the first thing you notice is that the fact that the night is calm. It's calm. The opening is beautiful, is romantic, is idyllic. Now, probably I said this before, usually poems end exactly the opposite of where they started. So we could understand the pattern. We could at least, of course, this is not a romantic poem. If it's a romantic poem, we'll be having William Wordsworth dancing and leaping, and hugging trees, or, playing with the shells and the sand and making I don't know what. But this is not a romantic poem. Nature is not there to heal, to cleanse us. This is a Victorian poem with all its, the Victorian age with all its pessimism and, sense of loss, sense of despair. The tide is full, the moon lies fair. Even the moon is beautiful. That's a very fascinating image. If you go to the beach at night and you see the calmness of the sea and the moon, the beams, the light reflected on the, would be a magisterial scene here. Look at how, this is a feature of the poem. And it is one way the poem sometimes slows you down. The line ends at very unpredictable places. Syntactically speaking, I mean, sometimes you need to stop, it's only the subject, and then you need to rush for the verb in the second line, or the object or something. The tide is full. Even the sounds here, the tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French, I told you can see France. On the French coast, the light gleams. This is the verb. The verb is in a different line here. The French coast, on the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. I don't know, I find this some kind of foreshadowing here, is gone. But look at the difference when he compares the light of England and the light of France. Europe but then the light is gone. The area is famous for fog, you know, so probably it's physically he couldn't see the light, or this is, metaphorically speaking, symbolic. This is a light that doesn't last. Because the cliffs of England, when he speaks about England, he speaks about something that is more eternal, more emphatic, standing. The cliffs, the mountains. The mountains of England stand. And again, glimmering and vast. Look, the pride here. I'm not sure if anybody, you know, Brexit, England, Britain wants to get out of European Union, Brexit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody, any politician or pro-Brexit people use this opening here to argue for Brexit, how the European light is soon gone. Because many of those people, some of them are horribly racist and bigots, they believe that England is being contaminated, is being invaded by immigrants, by refugees. So let's close the doors and England for English for the white people, and glimmering and vast, out in the tranquil bay. Now this fascinating image opening, very romantic, very calm, very soothing in its essence. If you're there spending time with somebody, you would be enjoying the scene. You would be, remember again Wordsworth, how he would take this as a chance to recollect, right? A chance to remember, a chance to recall past experience, good experiences from the past, and how this is going to fill his heart with pleasure, even if he is now not in the mood for this beautiful scene, this romantic scene. But this is a feature, although Arnold liked some things from Wordsworth, but he also didn't like other things from Wordsworth. Okay. Now, there are many things I could comment on here. The calm, sweet, romantic opening, the choice of words, the sweetness of words, even the poem flows. But there could be here some kind of attention created in is gone, foreshadowing or predicting what's to come, that this light is not constant, it's not going to last forever. Cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. And then we have a kind of a shift here. Come to the window. Again, remember Wordsworth, he kind of erased his sister from his poem. He wants to be alone, solitude. But this man is doing his best to engage in dialogue, to engage people, to communicate. Probably a theme in the poem, a theme in the whole Victorian age. Come to the window. This is imperative, changes from the present simple tense, the fact here is calm, is full, to the imperative mood, but not like tough imperative, you know, but it's like come to the window. Now we realize here that those people, there is a kind of space, they are separated from this beautiful scenery. It's true that they're very close, but they're not directly facing this scene. There is, you know, there is a wall there. They are inside. This is outside, they are inside. Probably there is a difference here between two realities. And the window could be symbolic here, symbolic of what you can see. It gives you, it's like when you say a window to the future, a window to reality. Come to the window. So I know some would be reading this, come to the window, sweet. But no. Or perhaps could work both ways. But it's basically, come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Look at the fronting and the delay. The night air, the air of the night is sweet. If you notice, you'll realize that the poem is filled with caesuras, with breaks, sometimes slowing even your tempo, slowing the cadence of the poem, the movement of the poem. These are highlighted by punctuation marks. Sweet. Look at, again, the beautiful sounds here, the calming sound of sweet is the night air. And then soon we come to reality here. Only brings us back to reality. Okay, this is not, at least this is not lasting or enduring. Only from, there are three things here. There is the word only, like that could tell us, oh, wait a minute, this is not what it seems to be. there's an exception here. Only there's something wrong with this image. And then the comma here could also function as another caesura early in the line here. And also look at the from the long line of spray, the delayed, like what's going on. You don't know what the subject and the verb here. From the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. I'm not sure how it's going to be grammatically, is it? Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles, and then from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. From the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. I like this image, you know. It's like something blanch, when the moon blanches something, it reflects its light on it. And again, bringing beautiful imagery here. The moon-blanched land, and again, another imperative, listen. You hear the grating roar. Look at how the sounds are going to change here. The g sound here and the r sound, the grating roar, as opposite to the sea's calm tonight, the moon lies fair. The change here in the sounds, the alliteration, the alliterative here, the r sound, the grating roar, again, highlights a change in a tone, probably in the direction of the poem that we could have guessed or imagined, especially with is gone being there for us. So what's roaring here? You know, a roar, who does the roaring usually? A lion. Lions roar. But there are no lions here, only the pebbles, the small stones at the beach. A beautiful personification here, beautiful metaphor of the pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. Here we have, in the opening, we have static verbs. Is calm, is full, even lies fair. And then we move to the grating roar, something noisy, chaotic. We move to something that is dynamic, drawing and flinging and beginning and ceasing and beginning again. Of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. At their return, they're referring to the pebbles, the stones. So the waves draw them back and fling them. At their return, up the high strand, begin. I love this line. Begin and cease and then again begin. Look at the circular image here. Look at the tough sounds and begin. And the repetition of the g sound. Begin, again, begin. But also look at the circle created here. Begin and begin. There's some kind of irony. If you begin something, it's the beginning. And if you end this with the word begin, that in the ending, that's, yeah. It creates, thank you very much, it creates this inescapable, inevitable vicious circle. This is going to go on and on and on. Probably the circle is not going to be broken. Begin and cease and then again begin with a tremulous cadence slow. I'm not sure how you're taking this, the opening, the beautiful opening. A man who's probably here talking to his beloved, his wife, somebody, instead of enjoying the moment, he's invoking what? The eternal tone of sadness. From peace, calm, quiet to eternal. It's like a roller coaster here of emotions and recollections of memories. And we'll find people who would do this all the time. Again, this is not a romantic poem. So you're coming, I'm not sure why they're there. Are they vacationing? Is this their honeymoon? I'm not sure how this would be taken. But that's, again, the general tone, the mood of the Victorian age. Sadness, loss of faith, loss of certainty, misery. Because of the social and political problems, the social problems, the suffering people had. The disillusionment. People were looking forward to a new era, you know, the machines and the technologies. People always believe that this is going to bring peace, money, riches, more, cures for diseases. But again, almost the opposite happened, because probably 3-4 decades after this, there were wars all across Europe. And then we had the Great War. Millions of people were killed. So is this poet Nikidi ibn Nikadiya? He's bringing this past that doesn't exist. He's bringing the pain and the suffering that an ordinary person wouldn't see or is this a more realistic poem? Again, realism being a famous feature of the Victorian age. Why doesn't he choose to escape, to just enjoy the moment, to seize the time, carpe diem, that some romantics, called for. So with tremulous, look at the tremulous. The tremulous like shaking. There's the tremulous cadence, again, the sound slow, and bring, so the waves, the sea, the waves here brings what? The waves bring not sadness, the eternal note of sadness. He's collecting sadness from all over the world. I love this. I find this fascinating how language is used in a particular way. If you notice, if you look at the lines, they're not the same length, right?
Yeah, the waves of the beach.
Possibly, thank you very much. This zigzagging could indicate the ebb and flow, the ebb and flow of the waves moving. The waves drawing back and flinging, beginning and ceasing and beginning again, the cadence. I'm not sure if you try to trace the rhyme scheme here. If you, A, that would be A, right? B, A, C, D, B, C, D. I'm not sure if this is regular even. A, B, A, C, D, B, spray D, land C, roar E, fling F, strand like land C, begin G, bring like fling F, and end like begin. That's A, B, A, C, D, B, D, C, E, F, C, G, F, G. I don't think this is regular. I don't think there is rhyme. Despite, I think this is 14 lines. I'm not sure if he had this sonnet thing in mind. But it moves, it moves like a sonnet here, especially with the ending here. But the ending that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if we take this for 8 lines and then 6 lines. But look at the lines, like we have a C here and then a C here and a very irregular in its shape, in the rhyme scheme. The music here is basically iambic pentameter. Like the sea is calm tonight, because it's romantic. The scene is beautiful. The words are beautiful. The sounds are beautiful. So the music, the rhythm of the flows with this musical thing. Like unstressed, 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 stressed. The tide is full, the moon lies fair. But then later on, you'll find everything is, is changing. This beautiful romantic pattern is broken. And it starts actually here with gleams and glimmering. Not only the tough sound of gleam and glimmering, but also there is here the trochee. The trochee where you begin with a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. You turn things upside down, because the whole poem here starts turning upside down. So the toughness of the g sound and the fact that the poet changes from iamb, unstressed to stressed, to the opposite, stressed and then unstressed, it takes us upside down, turns us inside out. Okay? Don't forget the many caesuras there, the many breaks. Don't also forget how the poem here, the line ends with, for example, on the French coast, the light, and then you have to go to the second line to see what's going on. How are you going to be reading this? Many people would just keep going. On the French coast, the light, or on the French coast, the light gleams. And then you just continue. These readings will give different impressions. Not going to be the same, because this interruption is part of the poem, because things keep interrupted. Even the romantic scene, the idyllic scene in the opening is interrupted later on. Whatever we have, whatever image we have of life, of reality, is going to be interrupted by the whatever we imagine in our minds, whatever we think we see is interrupted by the harsh reality. That these beautiful things don't exist anymore. Or if they do, they're just temporary. They don't last forever. So again, the poem consists of 4 stanzas. This is a short poem, by the way. Don't say this is a long poem. It doesn't have to be 3 lines to be short. And then he goes back to Sophocles. That's like 2,000 years ago. And Sophocles is probably the father of tragedy, of Greek tragedy. And this is called, invoking ancient mythology, using ancient mythology. And I found it very interesting. The whole poem could have worked without this stanza. But this is a man who insists that suffering is permanent, has always been there, it's eternal. Look back to Sophocles. This is like when you're now in your early 20s and somebody is mad at you because of something you did 20 years ago. I remember in the nursery when you took my sweets or something. It's like, what? So this man is going back in time, kind of trying to find a connection, a link between the present and the past in this negative, dark, bleak experience he's having. Or maybe he's trying to justify this. So if his wife, when he said, come to the window, listen, it's like, why don't we enjoy the moment, seize the time? Why don't we carpe diem like all people do? Why do you keep doing this to me? He says, listen, Sophocles 2,000 years ago. It's not me. It started long time ago. Sophocles, long ago, heard it on the Aegean. The Aegean is the sea between Greece and Turkey. It's actually some tribes, sailors, came from here to Palestine, to the beaches of Palestine, and they were called the Pelista. I don't know how to pronounce it in English. And from this, Palestine took its name, or her name, Palestine. So the name came from this, the Aegean Sea, Bahar Aegean, we call it. So the Aegean or the Aegean Sea. It brought into his mind, the mind of Sophocles is the father of tragedy. He is a great tragedian. You know him already. Into his mind the turbid ebb, and look at the change of words here, the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. Eternal tone of sadness and human misery. So the waves bring human misery. I find this very interesting also. Look at the break, this is Yura here again, and then we. Couldn't he simply just went with, like, I don't know, like stopping here of human misery, and then we find? So the we is dangling here. We record between two worlds. We're torn apart. And again, how you read it could make a difference. Go to YouTube and see how many people recite this poem. It's very beautiful to listen to professional readers. They give a different taste to the poem of human. But I like that he's building some kind of a wall with a semicolon. But it's not a wall, a hole, like a full stop. It's a semicolon. We're still we're far away. Here, this is the far distant past, and this is the present, the real present here. There is only a semicolon between Sophocles and us. We find, and look at the past simple, the present simple here. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by the distant northern sea. The northern sea is the sea between France, Belgium, and Netherlands and the UK. That's the northern sea. So we have the Aegean Sea. Sophocles heard this eternal note of sadness, the thought of misery, the ebb and flow, not the ebb and flow of the sea here, but the ebb and flow of human misery. And also we have another sea, North Sea, Bahr al-Shamal. I find again the use of ancient mythology fascinating. We'll do more commentary in a bit. And then we move to the third stanza. We have yet another sea. But this time, this is not a real sea from geography. This is an imaginary, metaphorical sea, the sea of faith. And he's capitalizing this. I don't know why he's not capitalizing Northern Sea, North Sea, and he's capitalizing. Here, the capitalizing is for emphasis here. The sea of faith was once. It's good to know that, this is a metaphor, because you don't just go take a dip in a sea of faith and then you're all right. This is imaginary. But look at the past simple. Look at once. Was. So don't cheer. It's not something that exists. Something that existed in the past, no longer here. Was once, two, at the full round the earth shore. Was surroundings, was overwhelming the whole world. People lived in peace, in tranquility. There was faith in the past. When I find this striking, probably relatively speaking, you could compare today or 150 years ago to the past. But the thing is that there has never been peace, like eternal peace, for a long time. Remember when there were only 6 people on earth? Somebody killed somebody. There was no utopia. But does he talk about the simplicity of the past, belief, faith, like at least having something to believe in, having, is this religious? Is he talking about religion? And the round earth shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle thread. I love this image. This also, it's not only the metaphorical sea that surrounds and overwhelms the whole globe, it's also like a cover. The girdle is like a gown somebody wears and covers their body. And I get a beautiful metaphor here. Faith is likened to this piece of cloth that covers the whole earth. And again, we brought again to reality here. But now, look at but here, the contrastive connector conjunction here. But now, I only hear its melancholy. So, is there faith any longer? There's no faith. The sea of faith itself, it's not only just a jar of faith or a bowl of faith or, I don't know, a bucket of faith. It's a sea of faith. It no longer exists. Only its melancholy. I only look at the personal I. I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar. Another roar here. It's withdrawing and retreating. I love the participles here. Probably indicating that it's not totally gone, but it's in the process of running out. The gerund here. It's melancholy, long, withdrawing, and look at the g sounds also, adding to the toughness of the scene. And the roar. Retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear. It's just retreating. Yanhasir, ebbing. Down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Shingles are, things at the beach, but look at how the image here of them being naked, cold, makes us shudder, makes us shake, because faith gives us warmth. We no longer have this. What happens to us? What happens to people? What happens to humanity? What happens to the earth? Just like naked shingles in the wind, in the sea, only having nothing. There's nothing to cover us. when naked like the shingles. But I think, again, like, remember when he said, is gone, indicated that the bad is yet to come. I think here the fact that he's saying withdrawing, not withdrawn, retreating rather than retreated or gone, indicate that there's something that we could do about this. The process is continuous. The sea of faith is not totally withdrawn, but it's in the process. But it could possibly indicate that there's something we can do. We can take some action, we can. And this is what he does in stanza number 4, the last stanza. I don't know how to get this. This sigh is heartbreaking. Invoking and evoking and provoking the listener. Love. Early in the poem, he didn't say, come to the window, sweet. Right? Or sweetie. Come to the window. Just come to the window. But here, we are in need of such warmth, such relationships, strength, love, to recreate, to bring back the faith, something to cling on to. But this is not an ordinary love, an ordinary relationship. It's a relationship built on love and truth and honesty. Love, let us be true to one another. And look at how the I is transferred into us, the plural, the first person plural pronoun here. To one another because the world which seems. The world is not. It seems, repeating the image from the ending lines of stanza number 1. The world seems to lie. I think he's punning on lie twice here. In line number 2, the moon lies fair. The moon lies. Pretends to be fair, seems to be fair. In reality, it's not. It's not fair. It brings misery and pain. And possibly there could be another pun here. I'm not certain, but look at it. To lie before us like a land of dreams. It sounded like a land of dreams in the opening lines, right? Yes. In reality, this is only something, at least the least to say, is temporary. To lie before us. Look at how the tempo of the poem is. It gets faster and faster. Love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new. Again, when he's talking about beautiful things, look at the beautiful sound, the repetition of the sound, creating this romantic image. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he uses hath, not has. In the whole poem, he didn't use Old English or Middle English words, right? There's no thee, there's no thou, there's no thine, there's no comes, there's no nothing. And then all of a sudden he says here, hath. Why? Why is it? I think we have something like this in Wordsworth, similar to it in a way. Probably he's cheating from Wordsworth. So the world, the land of dreams, it sounds like a land of dreams. It sounds like it is so various, there's so many opportunities, so many chances, so beautiful, so new. Hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. Nothing. 6 times the negative word is repeated. Nothing. And again, I find it interesting how 3 so's, this modifier, intensifier, so beautiful, so various, so beautiful. Against the 3 words here, we have 6 negatives. Neither, nor. You know, King Lear is like, no. Why should a dog, a horse, a rat have life? Hath, really, I think he's invoking again the past, going back, saying that this has been the case long time ago. It has always been like this. This is not something new. Like he connected us with Sophocles. Neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude. It's all doubt, suspicion, no peace. And I find this the most painful here. No help for pain. Sometimes if you're suffering, if you're in pain, if you're down, no matter what is going on, a nudge, a word from a friend, a tiny little bit of help could bring you back to hope, could give you hope, right? We do this. Like if you are, sometimes you're sick, you're tired, you're exhausted, and your mom just says something, your friend says something, and you're resurrected. Yeah, even this doesn't exist. It's all fake. It's all a lie. No help for pain. And so inevitability of coming together. This is not individual, this is collectiveness. The we, collective, the inclusive we here. And we are here as on a darkling plane. This is a dark plane. Swept, the verb are, swept is passive. And again, look, like if you notice, if you're feeling like I could spend like 2-3 hours like discussing this with you, how each and every word, each and every sound, each and every line, where it stands, where it begins, where it ends, everything counts. Wow. I'm not sure how many goes did he go on this poem. Was it just spontaneous? He just wrote it and that's it? Or did he just keep, did he keep going back to the poem again and again and again and again to make sure that this is a perfect thing? So we are swept people, we are swept civilizations, societies, we are swept. Is it because we are bad, we lose faith, or this is our fate? We are swept. Passive indicates that we have no choice. We have no freedom of choice. We have no free will. We have no control over our lives, over our fate. We are swept. Sweeping, when you sweep something. Also, I find it, because he was swept, she was swept off her feet, you could say. But again, are we swept like the stone, the pebbles are swept, or like dust? We're nothing. We're nothing. Or is it that we are nothing if we lose faith? Swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight. This is not the positive struggle you struggle for truth, like, Elizabeth Warren. And flight, because here there's ignorant armies here. Where ignorant armies clash by night. Look at the ending, how the ending is the opposite, very chaotic. The sounds, the words, and also the armies, look at the words, struggling here, then struggling and flight and swept and confused, and armies and ignorant armies clash by night. The very opposite of the serene, sweet opening of the poem, soothing opening of the poem. The sea is calm tonight. If this is a war poem, this is not a poet who thinks fight, because usually you write patriotic poetry, pro-war, because you believe that your armies are defending everything you have, the country, your honor, your people, your women, your children, your elderly. But this is a man who's saying all armies are ignorant, all wars are useless. All fightings, all clashes are futile. I'm not sure whether this is meant to be like to end this disheartening note where just give up, go home, or whether there is this message here of a ray of hope given to us, sticking together, communicating, engaging, having somebody to love and to be loved, sharing these experiences with us. I'm not going to talk about feminism because of the fight we had last class. But again, imagine what the woman would be saying to this, assuming they are going on their honeymoon or spending. Because sometimes men do this. Every time you go out, the father is going to spoil the fun, going to shouting and remembering 50 years ago what somebody did. And then it's all. But I'm not going there because I don't want to limit the fascinating poem here with everything that we have. So beautiful, so various, but not new. We had other poets doing something like this. But again, if you look at the shape, the lines, they're very much connected with the irregularities here, the unpredictability of life, but also with the movement of, somebody said here, the movement of the waves, zigzagging like the waves. Say something.
The first time I read the Sea of Faith, I immediately remember Christianity. I thought that it alludes to, you know how when babies are born, they have
Baptism, you know, to baptize.
Baptizing. So I think this is an allusion to Christianity.
I read many analyses saying that this is a religious poem. I hate to put religion in poetry. I don't know why. I think it's limiting. But yeah, many people say this is about the loss of religious certainty. Does it have to be about that? Is it about the loss of certainty in Christianity? What about us Muslims here? Do we read it the same as religious as Jewish people, Christian people?
Maybe because of the reflective features of that age, they were lost.
Yeah, there is loss here. There's no certainty, there's no faith. But faith in what? In humanity or in religion or in God? Or does it make a difference sometimes?
Maybe like if we want to talk about it as in a very realistic tone, it will be like it started with this kind of perfection, and then it moved as the poem moved. The faith was getting lesser and lesser, and at the end the poem was very chaotic because of this loss of faith. So
Not possible. That's possible, yeah, but again, the first two lines were almost perfect, predominantly iambic. Right? The sea is calm tonight. That's perfect. I am. Please?
In the last stanza, you said that the use of present continuous in withdrawing and retreating.
That stanza, by the way, this is not, sorry, in the book it says 3 stanzas. It's actually 4 stanzas here. This is stanza number 3, yes. Go on.
Okay. You said that there is hope and there is something we can do. So I don't see any hope here. He's
Yeah.
using the present
This could be
continuous.
bleak. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, that this is going to be to the upcoming generations and will not never end. So there's
That's
like
totally right.
absolutely no hope.
That's the poem is disheartening, bleak, completely dark. But you could, I don't know, I'm not sure how you make of, if you don't think that this retreating, but because that some light was gone totally. But he doesn't say here it's totally gone. It's withdrawing. So we have some faith remaining probably in the bottom. If you don't think there is some positivity here, positive note, at least what do you make of love, let us be true to one another? Now, is this the last desperate attempt to cling to the bit of faith at least 2 people, a couple could have? So yeah, if you see this poem, I've always read this poem as, personally I read it as a dark poem. Even at the end, it's not like but again I find it fascinating. It's well structured, carefully, highly calculated. He didn't end the whole poem, like if he ended the whole poem with, for example, love, let us be true to one another. I think that could be clear that this is a positive tone, but it's going to spoil the majestic structure and everything of the poem, the construction of the poem. See my point? It would have been very simplistic. Okay, wow, dark, so let's love each other. حبوا بعض. Would be very simplistic. So he goes with this here, and even here, the ending, the armies still clash. And isn't this true? Don't we have armies all over the place, clashing, fighting? Wars. Is he saying that it's not only, is it wars that, bring this loss of faith? Where man kills man, where millions and millions of people kill each other? Can you do some search and see if somebody in British politics, somebody used this, at least its opening, to promote Brexit? Make a point for how the light, the French light is gone, but cliffs of England stand glimmering.
I can see that he's racist for England in these lines. First of all, he used coast for French, and cliffs are higher than the coast.
True.
Also, the light of France is fading.
But the English we have always been, I think everybody is proud of who they are. But where it gets racist if you trash the others. There have always been this enmity between England and France, by the way. It's very historic. It goes back to thousands of years, hundreds of years. So there could be he's looking down upon the French. And there are so many jokes about French people. Is this joke, I'm not going to be, I don't know how it's going to sound, but I'm just going to say it. The English joke says, what does a Frenchman do after, what do the French armies do after they win a battle? And the answer is, nobody knows. They have never won a battle. Okay. But again, most jokes are racist. They have this thing about this. But we have jokes about blonde people, about black people, about Arabs, about Muslims, about something. Try not to be racist, not good. Finally,
Okay, if we're talking about the Victorian age, like when we're talking about the novels in the Victorian age, we usually see men tend to go for novels about war and about more serious things, and women go for, I don't know, like
domestic.
sentimental or kind of things. So here, I think this also goes with the same theme of the era, because as that man, Matthew Arnold, he's trying to talk about all this turmoil in society and about war and stuff, and even when he gets to the part of love, it's not even that dominant. It's like he's using love to, it's not like he's using love as an instrument to, or as a tool to support his idea, not as like a...
The theme, true. And don't say that women didn't write stuff like this. Don't judge very quickly. Go back and see. Finally, quickly.
I'm going to say this, but Victorian women authors are better than the male authors. I know you're not going to like it, but that's my
Why do you assume I'm not going to write like this?
Because you like Charles Dickens. I don't like him.
I love Charles Dickens, of course.
He exaggerates too much.
I love his style, I love his language, I love his... Doesn't mean I don't like other things.
Yes.
But yeah, I think... But I like the language Dickens uses, but I love Hardy's novels more because of this Hardy. He is what?
Hardy's amazing.
But again, is this because he's dark? We like dark things. We like when everybody dies. Is this why people love Hamlet? Because everybody dies? Are we this evil inside? Do we want everybody to die? Or is this closer to reality? Is this type? I'm going to scan everything very quickly. There are notes here I'll be posting on the YouTube video for this lecture. I'm not sure if I can do this in 5 minutes or so. So the opening is romantic. The idyllic scene is reinforced by the present simple tense here. Look at the main verbs of is, and stand. The opening lines should be established. A strong sense of time and place, right? This is highlighted with many concrete words like the beach and the things there, the cliffs. The opening is replete with positive modifiers. Go back to the text. The mood, the atmosphere is uplifting, romantic, beautiful. The cliffs of England, the expression sounds very symbolic of what, like you said here, strength, the stability and dominance of England. England is up above other nations, mainly France here. The trochees, you know the trochees? The stressed, unstressed, the opposite of the iamb. Unstressed, stress here in gleams and glittering reinforce a sense of stability and add to their semantic importance. These are important words because they gleam and glitter. However, here we have only where the shift happens in the text. The tone and the scene is in the opening, like in lines, there's personal and intimacy, because this seems to be like a couple here, the man and his wife. Now, the scene is intimate. He seems to calmly invite, rather than come to the window, like pulling her roughly. Come to the window, inviting a companion to look through the window. The invitation is significant because the poet seeks engagement and dialogue. Now, there is a sense of foreboding, foreboding, something, foreshadowing something negative to happen in Is Gone, which is also reinforced as we realize that the poet and his companion are inside rather than outside, face to face with this beautiful scene. This could indicate their detachment, the fact that they are inside, detachment from the scene itself, or could simply be cold. That's why they are inside. The fact that they are isolated indicates that things might not be what they seem. Only, the word only indicates that things might turn to be negative. Like he's good, he's nice, he's bad, and then everything is negated here. Only is also both trochaic, because only, stressed, unstressed, rather than iambic, which is dominant here. And it is followed with a caesura, not in the middle of the line, but only also introduces the first complex sentence. Probably I didn't say this. We have simple, compound, simple sentence, and then we have the complex sentence complicating the whole scene. Only also introduces the first complex sentence, ushering the complexity to come. The grating grower here, also the sounds, the sweetness of the sounds in the opening lines turns into roughness in grating roar. The verbs become more dynamic rather than static, like draw and fling and begin and cease. The sea becomes a symbol of all that is gone with humanity, wrong with humanity. Beneath the calm surface, an endless movement is concealed. Calm is concealed. Actually, an endless movement is concealed under this. Recurring verbs such as of movement and the long vowels spray. And when I say long vowels, it doesn't have to be a long vowel. It could be a triphthong or, a diphthong. Spray, grating, waves. See, these long poems mirror the endless sound, the long note of eternal suffering and the movement of the sea. There are so many caesuras there. I could ask you a question about the caesuras. So the poems underlying uncertainty is mirrored by the many caesuras where you have to stop, to wait, to pause. The caesuras slow, look at this, they slow the movement of the poem by breaking the rhythm and bringing us back to reality. It's like a slap on the face. The broken rhythm, the antithesis between begin and cease, the binaries here, and the repetition of begin at the beginning and the close of the line, one, mark the movement of the ebb of the flow, simply speaking. That's the thing. Two, mark the end of the vision of perfection envisioned in the opening lines. And then create an inescapable vicious circle, especially highlighted by begin and begin. The word tremulous and the eternal note of sadness mark the climax towards which the poem, perhaps predictably, has been heading. Stanza 2, the stanza moves from the present to the distant past of Sophocles, right? Matthew Arnold here invokes ancient mythology to help him understand the present. He wants to make sense of the present, but also, I think, he's trying to justify his pessimism by saying, it's not me. It started with Sophocles. He is indicating that this case of suspicion and doubt has been there ever since Sophocles. Matthew Arnold does not accept the given perfection and instead digs deeper and only finds sadness and misery, unlike most people who would be looking for happiness and stability. The language is negative, turbid, and misery. The caesura, again, marked by the semicolon, brings us back to reality, one that is still similar to that of Sophocles'. Stanza 3, the poem moves from the Aegean Sea, the northern sea, to the metaphorical sea of faith. The sea is a metaphor. And look at the beautiful image here and metaphor. That folds of a bright girdle suggest something omnipresent, something embracing, something protective, but it's no longer there, right? It's retreating. The use of the past participles sets this positive at a distance from, the use of the past simple, was, once, makes this not a reality, but in the past. This is reinforced by the use of once and now, and then the contrasting conjunction, but, that slaps us on the face and brings us to reality. Don't dream of the sea of faith of the past, come back to reality. But too functions as a slab that brings us to the harsh reality. The real sea is enduring, and brings only pain and misery. The metaphorical sea is temporal and existed only in the past. The INGs here, the pessimism is underpinned by the shift from full and bright to the negative words of melancholy, drear, and naked. Look at the naked here being very cold and shaking, like tremulously shaking. The sense of something changing is reinforced by the words withdrawing and retreating. Okay, but again, the participles and the gerund both create a sense of ongoing process. The sea of faith is not totally gone. There's probably still something we can do, preparing us for the stanza to come. Since the withdrawal of the faith is not complete, the poem becomes a plea for action. What kind of action? Let's love each other. Let's be honest to each other. Let's be true to one another. With faithlessness and disillusion, the message is that the bleakness of a faithless age could be prevented here. The final stanza, the plea for action is developed in the last stanza. Like we said, the poem uses the personal, intimate address, the familiar, evocative love. The appeal is further intensified by the heartbreaking. The poet seeks escape from the drear and naked reality in the relationship built on love and, more importantly, on truth. The idyllic scene of the opening is in reality a land of dreams. The tentative verb, the temporary seems, reminds us that we should not be misled by appearance. The three positive words, various, beautiful, new, that are intensified by so, are contrasted by and overwhelmed by six negative words, neither, nor. The lists, there are lists here, the so beautiful, so various, so beautiful, so new, and then neither, nor, again building the climax, the end of the poem. Yet the poet's disillusion is balanced by the commitment. So there is disillusionment, but there is commitment here to love and to be honest and true to each other. The use of coordinating conjunction and in the initial position in the ending lines slows the space in the final lines. Arnold here summarizes the condition of the society in a metaphor: darkling, plain, it's all dark. The language is explicitly negative. Humanity is confused and ignorant. Struggle, clash, swept are set against the tranquility of the opening stanza. The passive in swept indicates lack of free will and or inability to make sound judgment. The ray of hope here is togetherness, despite the final message, image of chaos and despair and disillusionment and loss of faith and everything. Togetherness represented here by the inclusive and collective we, first person we, and our sense that the lovers are separate from this chaos and confusion suggests their relationship can perhaps offer hope in a world of deception. Thus Arnold here seems to resist this feeling of futility, fear, doubt, and disillusionment rather than just reporting it. Some people ask about the theme. This could be it, but again, are they the same? Are they different? I think if we start from the theme, we're going to limit this poem. You take it wherever you take it. See my point? You could take this poem the way you like it. Religious, okay. Personal, okay. And I'll stop here. Sorry for keeping you late. If you have questions, stay behind. Thank you. See you next week.